My son did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I carried out the policy of the United States government in rooting out corruption in Ukraine. My son has not made money in terms of this thing about, what are you talking about? China.
Joe Biden is a family man. But one member of his family did take things a bit too far. But again, Biden did not have to worry too much, because mainstream media and big tech took care of it. They buried the truth and censored the Hunter Biden stories. All of this was done to save Biden's election campaign. But they can't bury the truth for too long. There is always somebody who will blow the whistle. And that's what's happening. The Hunter Biden bomb is all set to blow up. And the Biden administration will soon have nowhere to hide. Hi, and welcome to TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host, Shubhangi, and in this video, we shall tell you about an upcoming Hollywood blockbuster that will shake up the Democrats' fortress for a long time to come. Let's begin. Filmmakers Philip McAleer and Anne McElhinney joined culture editor Emily Jashinsky on an episode of the Federalist Radio Hour to discuss their latest documentary film, My Son Hunter, and how big tech, the media, and political insiders covered up Biden family's corruption just before the 2020 presidential election. US President Joe Biden, along with his family, is a darling of the Democrat-loving left-leaning mainstream media. Silicon Valley tech billionaires and Hollywood love the Biden family so much that a major scandal was perfectly downplayed and covered up at the height of the US presidential election. But all of it is about to change as an explosive documentary on the scandalous affair is about to be released.
We're making a new feature film called My Son Hunter. And yes, you've guessed it, it's about Hunter Biden and his corrupt business dealings.
Laptop.
This movie is going to tell the whole story, the China, Russia, Ukraine, and you can help make this happen by going to mysonhunter.com.
Referring to the documentary on the Hunter Biden saga, McElhinney said, "We wouldn't be making this movie if the media and if journalists had done their job. People at the mainstream media like the New York Times and CNN, NBC, CBS, all these places, were just completely quiet in advance of the election, despite the fact that this amazing bombshell was dropped into our laps on this laptop." McAleer added, "I would argue they were worse. They actually intimidated other journalists from uncovering the story. This is going to be the story that big Hollywood, big media, and big tech don't want to hear." The filmmakers agreed that the suppression in the run-up to a major presidential election was not only worrying, but also demanded attention from all quarters, including Hollywood.
Story that the mainstream media and big tech tried to suppress. I mean, we know that Twitter suppressed the story in New York Post.
Suppressed? They banned it. You could not forward a legitimate news story during an election campaign.
McElhinney said, "This story packs a big punch, and it's a gut punch, insinuating that Biden was placed in the White House by the media interfering to suppress the truth. And that's provable," she said. "That's no conspiracy theory. We saw it day by day as the New York Post's Twitter account was closed down on them." She added, "We did not come to this country for this sort of suppression of the truth. And so this is our duty, actually, as immigrants who are doing a job that Americans just won't do, to tell this story." Explosive news about Hunter Biden and his laptop broke at the height of the US presidential election drama, which was overlooked by CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, The Washington Post, and the New York Times, including many other agencies. These are just some of the most widely read and viewed national news outlets in the United States, and they all concluded that the collusion of a possible president's son with foreign forces when using his name was unimportant. Such has been the stranglehold of the Democrats over the mainstream media that a federal judge justifiably dissented against the charade and called for a review of the NYT versus Sullivan ruling, which gave the media its powers of being exempted under the First Amendment. In his attack, DC Circuit Court Judge Lawrence Silberman launched an extraordinarily written tirade against the press, arguing that the Supreme Court should reconsider the landmark 1964 New York Times versus Sullivan case, which gave the media broad First Amendment rights from being sued by public officials. Silberman wrote, "New considerations have arisen over the last 50 years that make the New York Times decision, which I believe I have faithfully applied in my dissent, a threat to American democracy. It must go." He added, "The increased power of the press is so dangerous today because we are very close to one-party control of these institutions." Besides, the Hunter Biden saga has also played a key role in the Biden administration's policy on China. It has become drastically softer from the hardline stance of the Trump administration. The policies have such a drastic change because China holds the Hunter Biden card against Biden. The Biden administration has become so compromised that the US received a humiliating lashing out at a meeting in Alaska from China, while the Democrats absolutely failed to deliver any punches. Moreover, even Russia holds the Hunter Biden card. Hunter Biden received a $3.5 million wire transfer from Elena Baturina, the richest woman in Russia, and who is also very close to Vladimir Putin. This was first revealed in a report by the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. The report shockingly revealed that, and I quote, "Some of these transactions are linked to what appears to be an Eastern European prostitution or human trafficking ring." So, Vladimir Putin's decision to invite Joe Biden for a live debate seems to be a setup. Biden's inability to have a clear thought process, coupled with Putin having the ace of Hunter Biden up his sleeves, would have made a mockery of the US around the globe. Biden, well, not really him, as he does not really seem to know anything, but people in his administration know how compromised the Hunter Biden saga has made the current Biden administration. Moreover, Hollywood, which was pretty vocal in its criticism of Trump, had kept their lips pressed on the whole Hunter Biden saga. But this documentary, which can expose the true extent of the corruption in the Biden family, shows that some in Hollywood still have a vertebra to speak for the truth and not just be mute spectators towing their party lines.